I, as an immigrant, understand my emotions? Or have I buried them to fit in? How do I build connection without losing myself? And what does true belonging actually means? Welcome back to another episode of Chatting with Slava the Jordanian. I'm your host, STJ. And on this episode, I decided to welcome back two of our previous guests, Naio and Giselle, to explore together what it truly means to be self-aware and socially aware while building a life far, far away from our home world. Now, as a reminder, Naio and Giselle, they were born here in the United States. And so they are first generation American. I was not born here. I came in 1988. We all three of us are female immigrants in a sense of the immigrant culture and customs. And we just navigated through life in order to make the United States our home, our second home. So welcome back, guys. I would like to start with just reading a true definition of self-awareness and social awareness. Now, just for our audience and our viewers, to explain to them that self-awareness and social awareness by definitions are not the same. They are distinct but interconnected components of emotional intelligence, which is emotional IQ. With self-awareness focusing inwards on your own emotions and social awareness looking outwards to understand others' emotions and social cues. Self-awareness is about recognizing your feelings and their impact, while social awareness involves empathy and reading the emotions of others, with both skills feeding into relationship management. That's a very powerful definition of these two, and being a student of psychology and sociology, it is really fascinating to recognize both. And Giselle probably will testify to that, since she is part of our team, and we teach our team as part of our culture to recognize self-awareness and social awareness. But what I love about these two guests today, both of them work with the public, and both of them are considered, social workers, in a sense that they are constantly getting bombarded by the stressors or the triggers from the demands of the public, and they learn as they go, whether it's an innate ability or it's a tool that they learn through work as they dealing with the public, to really manage patient expectations, client expectations, and at the same time manage their own expectations. So let's look into the responses and the different experiences. And since these episodes on the Mindset Master Moments, it's all about storytelling. Welcome, guys, both of you. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm really, really excited about this episode. And let's start with Naio. Welcome back. We did miss you. Welcome back to season 2. And
Thank you.
Can you just share? You're welcome. Can you share with the audience your understanding of self-awareness and social awareness as the first generation, which you were born here in SA, first generation American immigrant?
So, in my understanding of self-awareness is something that you develop, and the older you get, I feel, the more you become aware of your own emotions, your thoughts, and how your emotion, thoughts, behaviors affect others. When it comes to culturally, I want to say I have been involved with many different cultures, and everyone does things differently. So you kind of have to modify the way you do things with certain individuals. And I think another important point is not to assume because someone is from a certain culture, you should treat them a certain way, if that makes sense. So I think it's an ability that, yes, you develop as you get older, but you kind of tweak it depending on the situation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, could you just remind the audience, just in case some of our viewers and our listeners, newcomers to this series of podcast, can you remind us of the line of work that you do every day?
Yeah, so I am a youth services coordinator. I go out to high schools and I work with youth with disabilities between the ages of 14 and 22 and teach them pre-employment, so how to become employable. And then I'm also a social worker from my previous job. So I kind of do, bring that experience into what I do now. I love what I do. I think I've said it before, but I love what I do.
That's okay. That's why we're here again.
Yeah.
That's why I brought you in again. But just to clarify, when you say disability, is it well-being, like mental health disability, or is it physical disability?
So it's what do you call it? It's all ranges of disabilities. It can be physical, but it's mostly like learning disabilities, autism, individuals who are on the spectrum. So it's all ranging disabilities. There's not one specific that I work with, but I don't deal like with the emotional aspect of it. I do see emotions sometimes with the students, but it's not something that I work with them directly to like help with. I just teach them classes to become employable.
So, and what? That's awesome. So, what's the cultural range that you have? Is it mostly immigrants, or do you have also like Native Americans, or first generation born American, or just first generation American?
So I don't know exactly per se, because the intakes that we receive, it'll say like either they're Caucasian, African American, Black African American, Hispanic, Latino, a Native American, right? So it doesn't say like if they're first generation, second generation, like it doesn't give me that information. But
And
I do work with all
bilingual,
ranges.
or everybody speaks English?
So most of them are English speaking. I haven't come across anyone who's not fluent in the English language.
Well, that makes it easy, because usually like language barrier, sometimes it will turn them off, and then they can't express themselves, and they don't know what they are entitled of, as far as services, and whether things are working for them or not, what are their challenges. So that's at least makes it a little bit easier as far as communication. Let's bring Giselle in, and can you share with us your understanding of self-awareness and social awareness as a first generation American?
For me, self-awareness and social awareness I feel like it has a lot to do with my culture, in a sense, where, I feel like if I have to be self-aware with certain situations that I run into, whether it's, going into a restaurant that's more Latino, or, going into a restaurant that's like Italian, like I have to be self-aware with how I present myself, a- asking for the food that I'm going to get, and maybe that's more social awareness, but I also carry the self-awareness in that aspect as well. So I was reading, about something on Google. It showed me, for immigrants in America, building self-awareness involves with navigating culture, bereavement, recognizing personal strength, and understanding one's evolving identity. So that showed me where I had to identify myself as a Hispanic woman, Latina. That's self-awareness. And, that's something that people don't really like to present, because they're maybe they feel embarrassed about their culture. That's something that I was like looking up on, and that's what I picture myself like with self-awareness, how I see it.
No, it makes sense, because that's part of the identity adaptability, right? So
Right.
because we talked about it in the past episodes, right? When you guys were not pulled out of your roots and dipped into the United States. Your mom
Right.
did. So your mom had to go through that experience. And I'll I'll tell you, it is, you don't feel the impact of this traumatizing experience until you get to middle age or older, when the dust settles. The kids are fine. I have grandkids, everything is fine. I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm still in the social, scene, but I'm almost like retiring, that kind of thing. And then you start just, everything quiets down, and you said, oh my God, like, I didn't realize I went through what I went through. And the impact of that really shapes your personality in your new world, because she was displaced by default. Like, it wasn't her choice. I displaced myself by default because I wanted to seek a better education. Your mom wanted to seek a better life. And she was told, you're better off just leaving. So you leave, like I said, you leave everything behind, everybody you love, everything that you know, and start all over again. That is mentally and emotionally, it's very impactful on yourself. But when we are trying to survive, to thrive in the new society, we don't have time. We don't have time to, settle down. It's like, okay, time out. I need a break. I need a quiet room to figure out what I'm going through. We don't have time. And also, our tradition and our culture demands, and we talked about this with Giselle about mental health. There's no room. Our mental health the importance of mental health did not play upon how we survived in the new world. So what's happening, especially with the female immigrants, as they go through menopause or premenopause or even postmenopause, your emotions are whacked, like you're just hormonal. And then add to that, whether you realize, like, oh, I have been traumatized because I got displaced. Displacement is definitely a phenomenon. You guys have received it and experienced it from her end. You're watching the show. You're sitting, you're sitting in a theater and you're watching the show, watching the movie from your seats. It's like, oh, okay, why is she acting that way? Why is it so hard? Well, you guys are born here. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you do have the duality of identity because you're Latina and American. And now as parents, both of you have kids, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick the best of both worlds. But your mom and me, we did not have a choice. To survive and thrive, we had to almost suppress who we are for us to assimilate in the new culture, because otherwise, at the end of the day, you're like, I sacrificed everything and I ended up with nothing. It's not acceptable. It's not an option. So I love, Giselle, what you said about, when you go into a restaurant, it is an identity. And perfect example, and I shared that with you on the other episode, is when I go to Egypt, I am too American to be an Arab. When I'm here, I am too Arab to be American. And I bet you anything, if you both of you guys talk to your mom, she's going to tell you exactly the same thing. So we feel like our identity, it's in limbo, like it's between the two worlds. We're not here and we're not there, but I've been in the United States longer than I've been with my parents. I left when I was 19 and I've been here 38 years.
Wow.
So it's right. When you put it into that perspective, it's crazy. And we can produce episodes just talking about that. And I would love to interview your mom. I'm not sure if you guys will agree or not. I would love to. I would love to sit down with her, just pick her brain, and I bet you anything, 90% of the time we're going to agree on a lot of things. But anyways, moving on, Giselle, can you share with us, how do you use that social awareness ability when you are working in the dental practice? Because as you know, we do interact with a lot of different nationalities.
I was saying the other day, when we were talking about it briefly, when I present treatment, let's say to an American, white Caucasian, it's like straight to the point. I'm like, this is what you have to pay. This is what insurance pays. This, this is the decay. You got to do it. If not, it's going to get worse. But with like a Hispanic, I have to like really emphasize like what would happen to that tooth, let's say, if he doesn't do the root canal, if he doesn't or she doesn't do the crown. Like I go more like an exaggeration because that's how I have to like present it to them so they can see the severity of it. And that's like the social awareness part of dealing with, like, outside of my culture or my culture. Even if it's not a Hispanic or it's somebody of another culture, like an African American, or not an African American, like an actual person from Africa, that they came as an immigrant here, that as well, I will be more in depth and like dramatic of what the cause of not getting taken care of that tooth, and that's like a social awareness of that part too. Is like recognition, getting the recognition of what you're actually addressing to the person.
We have patient from Colombia. We have a lot of patient from DR and Puerto Rico. Even when I break the news to them that this is what's going on, I go very dramatic. But when I agree with you, when I speak to a Native American, like white, Nordic, Aryan looking American that, they've been here in New Hampshire or New England since like the Civil War, their ancestors, right? Right? Like you feel like you're going to have the Union hat on and they're just going to march into war. That's how Aryan they are. They rooted in there. But for me, my dialogue and my style of performance, delivering that data to them, it's completely different. And I never thought of that until you brought it up right now is why is that? But that's a beauty about us being us. We are multicultural. Our multicultural ability will be able to switch hats, and then that's why our personality is very accepting, and it's very tolerant to different cultures. But that's a really good point because I do exactly the same thing. Why is that? I don't know why I have to be dramatic, because I think the culture is like plant the fear of God in them, because otherwise they're not going to listen, because it's the whole trust thing. Here in the United States, they trust the professional, where back home is like, I know you're a doctor, but take it easy. Don't be full of yourself. You're not entitled to tell me what to do.
Exactly.
And they're maybe, intellectually or mindset wise, they are not as limited as maybe the Western world. I that's a really good point. We might do a whole episode about that. But let's bring Naio in. What do you think of what Giselle talked about?
I agree. Like that, I never thought of it that way. Of like, it's more like we relate to our own culture or anyone that's similar to our culture. And that's probably why you get more expressive, because as you said, Dr. Slava, like in the old country, right? You don't trust people when they're like, oh no, you know what? You're going to need a crown. You're going to need, I don't know, the dental terminology, right? And they'll be like, are you trying to scam me, or do I really need this? Right? People from like this country, like white Caucasian, not that I'm trying to be biased or anything, but they'll be like, yep, I understand that perfectly. Yep, this is what I need. Okay, set me up with a date, right? I think it's more of a cultural thing. It's like, are you really taking me for a fool, or do I really need this service? And you just, you have to kind of go into more detail about why you need this service, right? With other cultures that are not white Caucasian, if that makes sense. But I didn't even think of that. And it's so true, because when I speak to like, so I have parents on the phone sometimes. Well, they'll call me for like, okay, you're going into the schools and you're going to be giving my child the service, when it's from a Hispanic person, like a Hispanic parent that I'm talking to, I'm very much more lively, right? When I'm going into the conversation, it does not make sense why that happens. Is it because they're more relatable because we're within the same culture? I have no idea. I don't know, but I didn't think about it until now. Like now it's like, wait a minute, that does make a lot of sense, but why? Like, why do we do that? I don't know.
I feel like it's a natural thing. I just feel like it's something that's just natural. Like you have to come down to like not like, I'm not saying that we're dumb, but like it's just like more of a level-headed perspective. where, you come across like, okay, I don't think they're trying to like, get one over on me. They're really telling me that I need to do this for my own health,
Yeah, but I also think like socially we're like, what do you call? I don't even know how to explain it. Socially, it's like how they see us as an outside culture here influences the way we interact as well. If that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Yeah.
sad. It's very sad to say, but that's the reality of it.
That's really, really, really good point, Naio. Can you expand on that though, just for our listeners and viewers? Because what I find it frustrating still, like I said, I've been here since I was 19, but I still get so frustrated about the stereotype. They stereotype us so much that, you are in need. We allowed you in this country, and you need us. Well, but hold on a second. I want to tell them that, hold on a second, you need me as much as I needed you. Because the relationship with this country, as an immigrant, it's very transactional, right? I come in with my expertise. I come in with my idea, whether building a business, opening a business, working as labor, helping your economy. You contribute to the economy. I'm paying my taxes. So I'm a shareholder in that company we call the United States, right? Because you pay taxes. So it is a transactional relationship. I displace myself, whether by choice or by design or by default, to come to your country to help you, because there's an opportunity to fill that opportunity so I can strengthen your economy and help you grow, right? Your country, basically. So when you say, okay, you needed us, you came to, number one, you allowed me to come, number one. Number two, you allowed me to take on that opportunity and take on that position to help. Because like Naomi, you are a social worker. You are helping the American new generation to be healthier. Not only that, you are contributing to the labor force. You are helping them to employ as they creating jobs. The company is creating jobs, but you fixing that generation and making them employable in order for the small businesses to keep working, because otherwise they're going to shut down. So when they stereotype is like, oh, you're here in my country. Well, you allowed us, then shut down. Well, don't allow us to come in. And you gave us the opportunity, and you gave us the employment permit, and you gave us residency here, and you took my money because I'm paying taxes. Right? Because that's the payoff, right? I'll let you in, you pay me, I'll let you in. It's like going into a party, right? Or going into a movie. I paid for the ticket, I got the ticket, I'm going in, I'm watching the show. It's exactly the same thing. Now, if you have a community theater, as a community, if you are pinching in every single month as a member, right? You got membership. We are a member of this community we call the United States. So we're paying for that membership through our taxes. Where those taxes come from? Those taxes come from everyday hard work. Right. And I'm not going to go into like what you and Giselle go into just to get to work. Right. Yeah. And just a reminder, remember, you have a condition, a physical condition sometimes prevents you from having the lifestyle that you're looking for. Giselle is the same way. She has to juggle. She has a boy, her kid, snow day, sickness, or whatever, in order to continue working so she can pay her taxes, because now she's a member of that community. Just like if you have a membership in that theater, you are not only paying for the ticket to watch the show and contribute to the show, you are also paying that membership every single month to keep the show going. It's not, so for me as an intellect, it is, and you guys, very, very intelligent, regardless of the degree that you have. There is a life intellectuality that I call, which I call observational data. You guys have observational data, and you have learned, and you have a degree, the life degree, right? That you've gained from going through life. Everybody does. Everybody, especially as an immigrant, whether you like it or not, you are qualified to talk about life. You are qualified to comment and to teach and inspire and impact. And that's why my series is not about famous people. It's about everyday people. Because guess what? 80% of the population and 80% of life experience comes from everyday people, not from the with all due respect, the big speakers on TED Talk and the people that have TV shows, maybe we'll have a TV show one day. I have to think about it because it defeats the purpose of just everyday people. Because you, me, Giselle, Naomi, we learned from everyday people. We are sitting right now in front of the camera and we're sharing our observational data. We're getting it from everyday people. We're not getting it from executives, CEOs, Amazon, Bezos, Elon Musk, Gates, right? Steve Jobs. We're not getting that information from, or the lessons that we learned, or the tools are we sharing. We are gaining it from the everyday people we deal with. And we are everyday people. We're the one getting up every single morning and going to work. We are the labor force. That's why there's labor parties in a lot of the governments after, switching their constitution from monarchy to Congress or different parties to contribute to society. So the bottom line is what you can tell I'm getting all fired up is the stereotype, I did not come in from Jordan with a degree. I gained the degree here and I'm here to serve the American people, right? I've been serving American people for 27 years, making them healthy. I have served multi-generational. I've seen, we have team members that I've known since they were 6 years old. Now they're married, they have their own kids. I feel like I'm the dental grandma. You know what I'm saying? And watching that progression in life and watching those personality grow, that's observational data. That's reality. That's practicality. So going back to the identity, we go through a lot. You guys, like I said, you're born here. And the same thing, my husband Ehab, who has been here since he was 2 years old, is technically as if he was born here. He doesn't really understand what it takes to leave everything behind and start all over. But the sad thing, guys, is at the end of the day, especially these days, I still feel like, maybe I'm not wanted. So it's not enough that you have been rejected by your own people, by your own world, and displace yourself, right? Either by design or default. But now with everything that's going on, you feel you guys are born here. I'm not. So I almost feeling like a chatter in my head, almost trauma, is am I going to be rejected again? But I haven't done anything wrong. I'm saying, and how many like me, forget about the degree, how many like me are being rejected just because that, all of a sudden they just feel like, okay, we don't want this anymore. Well, you should have told us and not taken our money, right?
Right.
Right? We have been investing in this company. Exactly. I could have rejected, I don't want to pay you. I'm here as a guest. But I didn't. I went by the laws and I went by the protocol and the customs. Okay, if this what I need to get done to be accepted, I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm sure your mom did. I'm sure your dad did. I'm sure you guys are doing it. Your brother's doing it. So after this whole rant, I just want to move on to talking about how you guys as parents, now you're first generation American, your kids are second generation American. And let's start with Giselle. How are you as parent really explain self-awareness and social awareness to your son? I mean, I know he's second generation American, but you still have that Latina culture, right? You guys are trying to keep it alive and respected, and make it part of his life so he can transfer that power to his kids, because you don't want to lose that. It's a beautiful culture.
Right. Well, the other day, Rudell came home from Boys and Girls Club. I always ask him every day, how was your day? What did you do? I think, and he goes, yeah, so I had a weird conversation with my friend, and I'm like, what's up, buddy? He's like, yeah, he tells me he only takes a shower on Mondays and Tuesdays. And I said, excuse me? Yeah. And he's like, he only brushes his teeth on Wednesdays. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I don't want to believe everything they say, and he's like, yeah, cause he's not Hispanic.
God.
He's from another culture. And I'm like, that's being self-aware of how he is being raised and how this child is being raised. So that was like, wow, that was like a self-awareness moment for my child. And
Crazy.
like also social awareness, because he's like, I don't think that's normal, and then he felt the need to tell me that. He's like, because we take a shower every day. I brush my teeth twice a day, mommy. Like, and I'm like, some people do that. Some people don't wear deodorant because it's part of their culture, so that I I found very, very, I guess, I don't know, like a learning moment for him with his culture and being self-aware that, there's others that are not like him and not being raised like him, and, social awareness, because he's like trying to be social with this kid, but he's like telling him that he doesn't shower every day or brush his teeth every day. So that I thought that was like a little learning moment for him.
Well, that's what I love about children. I mean, some people, not everybody, some people underestimate the child ability to be aware of their environment. But remember, the child brain is like a sponge, right? It's like a whole new computer, a whole new iPad. It's a new phone that you just took out of the box and it's just ready to go, right? And then it's just processing everything around them. For him to be aware, I mean, that's, like you said, the perfect example, not only of self-awareness that, hey, listen, it's not he saw something, it's a different sense. He smelled something. And then when he talked to that child, he saw that child is like, what are you talking about? We just shower twice a week kind of thing. But for Riddell not to say, oh, you stink or offend that child.
Right.
He had and that's why I'm telling you, that kid has the innate ability to figure that out 100%.
So I asked him, I'm like, you weren't rude to him. He's like, no, mommy. No, I wasn't.
But how did he know? How did he know to bite his tongue like that? Did you teach him that?
I mean, I tell him to be kind. I always tell him to be kind. Don't matter what the person looks like, smells like, walks like, just be kind, because you don't know what that other person is going through.
Yeah.
So with you just being kind to this person and actually talking to them, you could be doing a really good thing to that person. And that's what I teach him.
So he took that and he created this personality or approach or an outlook on the world of judgment free. You know how hard that is? That's really hard because kids are mean. Like, I worked in a daycare before dental school, and I've been around kids like all my life through all my career because my mom was a teacher, then became a principal. So I used, kids are really mean, but to have that wisdom that, no judgment, tolerance. That's a perfect example of tolerance. Tolerance and accepting of other cultures, respecting also other cultures, respecting other cultures to a point that you don't offend them. You don't ask extra questions. You just accept it the way it is. That's acceptance.
Exactly.
That's huge for Riddell. So, and how old is he now?
He's going to be 10 in 10 days.
Yeah.
Let's not shed tears because we had embarrassing moments the last episode. Because let's not shed tears.
I'm not. I'm holding them back today.
You're holding them back. Yeah. Be strong. Be strong, Giselle. It's all about strength right now. Double digits. But, despite that, like I said, I think Riddell his social awareness and also self-awareness is very, very high. And that's very promising. I think he's going to develop very high level emotional IQ. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned in the past that he's really into putting stuff together. And I think that because his brain is wired to be able to put stuff together, I think he applies that socially and gives him the ability to really be accepting and tolerant. Now, is he playing sports right now?
Right now, no, but he wants to start wrestling.
And that's
like a new sport. He's...
What? Why? I'm speechless. We're both speechless. What?
I agree with the wrestling.
That was aggressive.
Like professional Olympic level wrestling, or just?
It's for Boys and Girls Club, but I'm not too thrilled about it because I just the sport is gross. Like they're rolling around in a mat and sweat, and I just don't want him to get hurt. And I don't know. I just think wrestling is not a sport that I feel like he should do.
Okay,
But I can't stop him.
No, don't limit him. We're all about, right?
Thank you,
Mastering
Dr.
and unlimiting
Slava.
mindset by limiting limited beliefs. So if he believes he can do that, let me put your mind at ease to let you know Matt Damon got into Harvard by a wrestling scholarship.
Wow.
Yes, because my trainer, Pam's husband, he used to be my trainer. And then at Best Fitness, I'm working with a trainer for strength training. He went to Harvard, right? Through wrestling. Like he's like blue collar Irish family from south of Massachusetts. So he was at Harvard and his senior was Matt Damon, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so they both got in. He's 1 year lower than Matt Damon class-wise. So they got into Harvard through the wrestling. And that was the Olympic, like the Greek Roman wrestling, like professional wrestling, not like the boxing, fighting, stuff. Yeah, wrestling.
Right.
But Matt Damon actually had to leave one semester before he graduated because he got the movie offer with Ben Affleck. I forgot the name of the movie. It was like the first movie Matt Damon, and he went back to Harvard and they gave him honorary degree on graduation because
that's awesome.
Which is he left Harvard to make movies. But he's super, super smart. So you never know what wrestling can get Rodell into. And that's the beauty about this kid. He's full of surprises. So you as a parent, like I said, self-awareness and social awareness plays a big role on creating the identity. So, what is it that you see challenging as a parent with Rodell? Does he have any identity challenges, especially these days with all the kids? It's all about we, him, they, that kind of stuff. Yeah. The pronouns.
Right. I don't see like he has a problem with identity. I feel like he's pretty secure with who he is as a child. I mean, I know he knows, obviously we moved from Lawrence to New Hampshire, and it was I would say a cultural adjustment. Just because predominantly in Lawrence is mostly Hispanics, and here it's kind of like a mixture of a lot of different cultures. Like you have Brazilians, you have, people from Kenya, people from, like there's Filipinos. It's a mixture. So I see that as something that he kind of feels secure of who he is as a Hispanic. But I do see a little mixture of him, like not knowing who he should interact with sometimes, because he tells me, some kids, they don't want to play with me, or, and I asked them, because I want to know. I'm like, are they Caucasian, or are they Hispanic? He's like, yeah, they're Caucasian. And I'm like, okay, so maybe there's just, they don't understand like their culture, or how you like to play. It's just different. Sometimes it's okay. You just find somebody else to play with. So I feel like he understands that a little bit. Not so much, because he's going to be 10 now, but I feel like he has like a little understanding of it though.
Yeah, that's interesting, because every kid get challenged with that in school. Like my mom used to say, there are these two kids and there's the rest of the world. There are and there's the rest of the population of humanity. Like pick one, don't be so picky about why them. And my mom never really liked about, don't obsess, don't be very obsessive over like a certain group of people, because that's limiting, right? And we talk about, limited mindset, right? And don't limit your opportunity, widen your horizon. But is he challenged about, and we talk about this at work too, that, the anxiety of, it's a fear of the unknown. A lot of people, maybe those Caucasian kids, that they're very anxious about Rodel because they don't understand Rodel. They don't know, like, what are you? Like, where are you coming from? Or maybe they're not confident enough to say, okay, this is how we're going to act around Rodel because he comes from a different culture. Maybe they were not taught that. But the anxiety is the fear of the unknown. And if you don't know something, sometimes the best thing to do nothing, right? Pull away from it and not and not approach it and not interact with it. So now I would like to bring you in and get your response on where we're talking about how kids whether they're having the identity conflict or the identity challenge in school being half and half. They're American, but also you guys would like them to maintain the Latino heritage and custom. Did they go through a lot of challenges in school, not belonging or not feeling like, I don't belong to this group, or I belong to that group, or I'm staying away from this because I don't understand how these guys behave?
So not per se in school, because we live in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood. So most of the students are Hispanic, so they do relate in the cultural sense. But my oldest did experience, she went to like a teen party or something where the host was Caucasian, and it's a little different, right? So she did realize, like, she did mingle and, got along well with everyone because that's just how they are. But it did feel like a little different, like the way, the party was going on and, the music was different. You know what I mean? Like it was more like, oh, okay. And the way they dance, as compared to my daughter dancing, right, was different because it's not like, I don't know if it's like the beat of the music and the you know what I mean? Like, and she was like, and I was teaching them how to dance, mom. And I'm like, really? Right? So it was like, it's like a culture thing. Not that, she may have felt, okay, this is different. Like, you still feel like you don't belong when you're not with amongst a group of people who are, in your culture. But then once that's done, then you get to know people, right? And that's okay. Like it happens. But it was just like, it's so different when you are mingling into society, right? Socially, you're like out there because you want to, have a good time. But sometimes you just feel like you don't belong. And going back, because when we were talking about, not feeling like you're from here, even though we're, first generation American, you still feel like an outsider. It's insane. And I don't know if that carries on from like your parents or just because you are not a white Caucasian. And it's so horrible to even say that out loud, but it's such a reality because you still feel like you have to prove something. You have to, why? Why do I need to do that?
I feel that too.
It's horrible.
I feel that too. It's funny you say that because I do feel that as well. Like even working in, the field that I work in, I feel like I have to not outshine or be more like out there. It's just I feel like I have to present myself
Yes.
in a better form than someone that is Caucasian and was born in this country. Even look, I'm saying it. Even though I'm born in this country, I was born in this country. I still feel like out of place, and I just don't understand it either.
Your tone changes, like everything. It's crazy.
No, do you guys know? Like, do you when you sit with yourself, it's like, okay, why do I feel that? Because you guys are from the same continent. Like even Latin America, speaking Spanish, this is from that part of the world. I'm from Asia. Like Saudi Arabia is part of the Asian continent, and my husband's from Egypt. He's from North Africa. And me and Giselle, we talked about, I think you have a relative that is moving to Morocco, and we are. I'll tell you this, the Middle East, which Arab is basically anybody that identify Arabic as their, the mother tongue, right? We speak Arabic. We are colorblind. And I have to say, I'm not trying to be controversial. We are colorblind. When I came here to the United States, I was shocked how emphasis on like how you look different. You speak different, you move different, your body language is different, your accent is different. That's beautiful. That's humanity. We're not like one part of the world. The whole globe is so different, right? So my husband is from North Africa. I'm from Asia, the Middle East, Jordan, Palestine, and we are colorblind. The beauty about, and hopefully Giselle and Naomi, you'll get the chance to go to North Africa. Africa is amazing. Africa is absolutely beautiful, and the fact that that's where all the human race came from African gene. If you break down every single human race, it comes back to the precursor or the formula of our genetic makeup is Africa.
Yeah.
So, and especially North Africa is absolutely beautiful because you have like so many different shapes and colors. You have the blue eyes, the green eyes, the hazel eyes, the black eyes, the brown eyes. I met people from part of Africa, especially people from Sudan. They're absolutely beautiful people, and they're so kind, but everybody is moving within the same wavelength. Nobody is lagged behind. Nobody is left behind. Nobody's discriminated against. And I met people from Russia. I met people from France. I met people from Asia. I met people from India. Egypt has, especially North Africa, you have people are moving across that region like every hour on the hour. Nobody is lagged behind. Nobody's left behind. Nobody's tucked in a corner. Nobody's being ignored. We don't see color. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's why we were advanced during the Babylon and the Islamic Empire. We were advanced because when you see color, you limit yourself. Then you have limited thoughts and limited belief. But when you are colorblind, you're mastering that unlimited mindset by eliminating limited belief. Because if I don't believe that I'm worthy more than you because you just look different, act different, sound different, then the progression is gonna happen to a bigger level. But it's sad that you guys are first generation American. Can you imagine what your mom felt like just going through life? Forget about her circumstances. Just the fact that coming in back in the day, because now we expect the world to be a lot more tolerant, more accepting. But that's why I think social awareness and self-awareness combined creates or generates that high level of emotional IQ. So I'm going to ask Naomi, what would how would you end this conversation? Like the fruit of wisdom kind of thing for the audience, anybody that is from Latino or any other cultures that's going through that identity crisis and in confusion. It doesn't have to be here in the United States, whether they are from Egypt in Europe or they are from Europe, but they live in Asia, there's still, we have to be fair. There is an identity, challenges. What would you say the best adaptive or, tool to kind of like ease that tension and the pressure off you?
I would say just be true to yourself. Like, be true to your identity. Don't feel like you have to apologize for being you or wherever you come from or, your culture, the language that you speak. We should really I try to promote this myself. I try to do it through my kids, is to just be accepting of everyone, regardless of their race, their color. Be accepting. Don't try to apologize for being you, right? And the only way you're going to get to know someone and the only way that we're going to change or promote change is to get to know the person, right? So know the individual, don't make assumptions, right? Because that's huge. Socially, since I'm out in the community, right? It's, you see prejudice, you see bias, you see all these things, all the stigma. Get to know the person, get to know the individual person, not, what you hear in the chatter that you hear about someone or their specific race or their specific religion, because we hear so much of that. It's quite honestly, is just disgusting, right? Get to know the person. That's it. Get to know them as the person that they are, and be yourself. Be true to yourself always, like, and promote that in your kids, because that next generation is going to, you know, give that same energy out. You know what I mean? So be true to you and get to know someone. Just know the individual. Get to know the person.
I feel like
Absolutely. How about you, Giselle? What's your response?
that has a lot to do with how we were raised. I'm gonna give kudos to my mom because we were raised in New York. We were born in New York, and that's where you see a lot of different cultures. And in the building that we used to live in, we had friends. There were Haitians, there were Black African Americans, there were Chinese. It was like a mixture. And my mom always told us, like, it doesn't matter what the person looks like, be kind to them, you know, accept them for who they are, you know, that's something that we both as mothers are showing to our kids, which is very
100%.
important for our future. Because, you know, if we are not like that, what do we have in our future? You know, we're going to go back to racism. No,
Yeah.
that's not what we want for our future. So that's why it's important for parents to implement that, even if you are an immigrant from another country, you know, and you don't see a lot of different cultures, you know, but you're in a new world where you do see it. So you have to implement that to your kids. It's important.
What do you think, Naomi?
Open mindset. Honestly, I agree. You have to have this open mindset and transfer that to your children, because it's really unfortunate that nowadays it's almost like we're reverting. Instead of moving forward, we're going backwards. And it's so sad to see. But what is it, like we were like a micro grain in this universe, right? But even a little bit that we put in, right, and spread that, I think at some point there has to be some type of change. So, like, not giving up, being true to yourself, transferring that same energy over to the next generations to come. I'm almost positive that my 3 children will carry on the same belief system, as to treat everyone as you want to be treated. I see it already, and I believe that it'll just keep moving forward. So we wish we could change everyone's mindset on this. We can't, right? But at least we're doing our part on our end.
That's right.
Yeah. No, you guys, I'm so proud of you guys, because you're contributing to society, right? Because it doesn't make sense that technology-wise, humanity is becoming borderless, right? Through technology. We can, I'm talking to you, you're in a different state. I talk to my family in Egypt. You guys talk to family in the DR as if we're with them. We're constantly in contact, constantly communicating. So why is it that it's okay for technology to be progressive enough to develop borderless culture, but in humanity we are just like, reining it back, as if like the old school don't want to lose control, so the old school is just recycling through the old, colonial kind of concept mentality. It's like, ooh, the new generation is gonna get loose, and tolerate and accept everybody. Let's take control over it and recycle through the old limited mindset and reapply that and do laws and regulations and stereotype and all that. And they are messing around with their head, because the new generation don't care. I think the new generation, your kids' generation and beyond, they are colorblind. I think they're colorblind. I think they're very tolerant, because they don't care, because they are the technology generation. And they can't have double standard that my technology, I can reach out. I made a friend in South Korea, I don't care what they look, but I love their mind, and I want to learn from them. How is that okay but within their own country, within their own culture, you're putting those restrictions and those limitations. But that is a beautiful thing. And I always said probably we are going to need girls to come back for another episode. I would love to talk to you guys about being feminine, being a woman, our challenges as immigrant. And since this series is categorized under self-improvement, you guys are really touched upon impactful topics like tolerance, acceptance, judgment-free, being colorblind, that how you improve yourself in order for you to live in the world. I don't think it's even possible to live in today's world. And I hope you guys make it to North Africa, seriously, either Egypt or Morocco. It's amazing. They are like culturally, identity-wise, they are 50 years ahead of us. Seriously, when you come back to the United States, I swear to God, and I'll be very happy. Yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome. I'll be very happy to hook you up with a tour guide. They're amazing. But culturally and socially, they are literally 50 years ahead of us. When you come back to the United States, I'm like, oh my God, I'm back into the dark ages again. Like, this is so uncomfortable. Like, you feel so free over there. And when you come to the United States, you feel so restrained and limited. I'm like, okay, I can't say this, I can't say that. And when you are there in Egypt, everybody said it's so dangerous. The government is spying on you. There's no such thing. Unless you're like a threat to their national security, they don't really care. Everybody's having a blast, having fun. I'm sure the DR is the same way. Just people are living to live, to really experience life. So we have reached to the end of our hour. Thank you so much for coming on. And just as a reminder to our viewers and listeners, these episodes are uploaded every single Wednesday on the Spotify and Apple podcast platform as part of the Mindset Mastery Moments. And also they are available for you to watch on our YouTube channel, the Greenwood Dental Partner. And please like, share, and hit the notification bell so you will not miss any episode. This is our season 2. We really, really, really would love your support, guys, to keep us going, because we are trying to send our messages and life lessons out there for everybody to enjoy and learn and to be inspired and also influenced to be a better human, basically. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. This is Slava the Jordanian.